it's clear.
Tom, you want to comment on that, or I mean, basically, it's just,
Just so people can understand.
there wouldn't be the additional warm water pool for exercise. It would just consist of a pool, a walking track, and a weight room. So the aerobics and bike, things like that, would be excluded. Conference rooms would just be a much smaller version of the complex.
But soon that smaller complex would preclude Mercy from getting involved because the facilities they want are going to be probably closer.
Potentially. I mean, not here.
I apologize, I walked in late, but may I see a show of hands from school board members who prefer to see the report card come up first or prefer to see this project go forward?
So I think we can all, I mean, I'll speak for myself and they can agree with me if they agree with me. They'll tell me if they disagree with me. But I think we can all say, or at least I can say, that I think your comments are very valid. I mean, I don't think anybody, even our administration, would love to see our report card go up. So I think your reservations about us entering this are some of the reservations that we have. We absolutely are a school board, and we are here to educate kids, but we also have to understand that this could be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for us. And I'm torn. As an educator, I'm completely torn. But we are presented an opportunity that we may not get down the road. And so I think what we're trying to do is figure out how can we best lay out this process to potentially go into something that meet the needs of everybody. I mean, we would love to see a pool on our facility. We'd always wanted to see a pool on our facility. But we also have a job to educate kids. And we're in a position as a school board that it's not if we have to go ask for new money, it's when we have to go ask for new money. And that's not a question. We know that's coming. So it's just a matter of we don't want to set ourselves up to not be able to get new operating money to educate our students because we did something for this facility and now people aren't supporting the operating to go forth with education. So these are conversations that we have all had and that we absolutely feel that this is a big decision and we can't do this alone. So this is kind of why we're sitting here with them, with all of you, is because we have to have some guidance on our side because we know parents have concerns about the report card, but we also appreciate the opportunity to give this to our community and to our students. So that's where we're at. So I don't think anybody wants to not see our report card grades go up. We all do.
At $4 million, I would prefer to see a teacher-student ratio lower, which is where you're going to get your report card up. And when you have a high student-teacher ratio, that's where your report card goes down. I mean, that's pretty black and white. So $4 million could go a very long way in hiring more teachers and getting that ratio down. I agree with you. I would love to have this sort of facility. It puts us on the mark. It puts us in competition swimming, which we don't have. So I agree with that. But like every business, you must prioritize. You must prioritize your goals. You have to set your goals. You have to set your minimum standards. You prioritize and you move forward. And if we lose the money, we lose the money. But if we make our kids great leaders in the future in the world, that's our priority here.
Absolutely, 100% agree with you. You know, I agree with Stephanie, and I think every member of the board will agree with Stephanie. Our number one concern, and always is educating our kids. And you know, to address your Tracy, I'm not happy with the report card, and I agree with you. That's why we're having these internal struggles. That's why we're coming out to you all to say, what are you all looking for? I mean, I think we're in 100% agreement up here that every one of us thinks that report card needs to come up. And again, the $12 million are where is the top of the line. We're not committed to anything or pardon me, where we have to have that at all So I think we're open, like Stephanie said, we're open, that's why we're listening tonight, to get the community's ideas and perspective where they want us to be and where they want us to focus. Again, we're the school district, our job is to educate the kids.
And you know how hard it is to get a levy passed. And
Absolutely.
It's a nightmare. I mean, it is. So if we do this, and you come back in 2 years or whenever that next levy is, you know what an uphill fight that's gonna be. It's a battle. It's a battle on a normal basis, and if anybody starts looking around going, well, what about that 4 million spent right there? Aren't you supposed to be making some money off of that? I mean, that's gonna be thrown right back in your face.
And I can't, I can't disagree with you. I mean, you speak the truth there. I mean, it's a struggle that we've had ourselves.
On the other side, anybody who's got a kid that plays basketball knows we need more gyms in here. That's an awful schedule.
Yeah, I mean, I went to school here, I swam on the swim team, I played in the basketball courts, I did all that. I mean, it's great. I am a total proponent of athletics. However, that being said, I agree with the levy ask, and I appreciate your comment that says, we're here to get your feedback. However, my personal experience from that is that feedback doesn't go very far. So I'm pretty concerned about that. I don't know if I have a lot of confidence at this moment saying, yeah, let's do this with this board and with this thing. It's a tough sell for me. And I think I agree with her. It gets out in the public, it's gonna be a tough sell for your levy and for your residents.
I got a question. How would you look at a smaller facility that just keep the school board out of it, that the township would run? A lot of communities have pools.
You mean just the 8-lane pool?
Just the bare bone pool, yeah.
That's what $8 million for.
Okay.
Would you know that for you to clear that?
Township
If
would
you
own
look
that.
for 8 million, yes, it would.
Yeah, township, Walnut Township.
You gotta remember, when you get into construction, there's always change orders or whatever, there have to be some contingencies in it.
How about a facility keeping the board out of the township runs?
Well, basically, if it's the $8 million project, it would be our building on our ground.
Right.
The thing is, we, at that point, would want to enter into some type of agreement with the school district or someone as far as running it and managing it. Our expertise, our knowledge, we do not have the resources as far as bringing administration in to operate the facility. And that's where we talked back when we originally talked the 8 million. In fact, Judge, you told me 3 years ago, you gotta come up with 8 million to get this thing built. I remember you telling me that. And that's where we're at the 8 million. Now, we can work something where some income can come in from other places using it. I mean, we've heard that Mount St. Joe or Elder or whoever, just like we go other places to use their facilities, we can make some money off of the pool facility to help the administration of running it. And we can partner with the school district of, in the management of it. And if we can work something with Midtown, that's great too. We've got to remember, we're not going above our commitment, which is the 8 million. We cannot do that. At the 8 million, if we can get that done, that's great now. And the school board has to make a decision and the public has to have some input. I think the feeling is here, it doesn't sound like anybody wants a levy to support it.
No.
So, so we gotta remember that. So, that's the reason the feedback here tonight is important. And it's great that we have the number of people here.
Yeah, I think it's starting to boil down to a sustainability discussion because, of course, kudos to the board for putting a brand new school in here and everything you've done to provide, a wonderful education center. But, this is an opportunity to really start to think about the community, something the community can take advantage of and actually start to bring in business revenue, additional housing, which is going to drive up our tax base, which sustainably can help support and avoid some of these levies that we're speaking of. Because it sounds like we just take good money, throw it at something. Yeah, we all want a great report card, but I think I'm new here, but I believe numbers are up. I think a lot of the programs, I was at the strategic planning meeting. Community was a big topic on there. How are we gonna make this a community environment? How are we gonna be perceived, in the community? And this is one of the first steps of how we can actually start attracting newer families, businesses into this area and create revenue, which is ultimately what we need for sustainability.
The school board and the school in general can bring in the community with better communication. And they can use the $4 million to increase the education of the building and the school and better the communication of the school. And that's going to better the community as a whole. So they don't need to have this facility to do that.
I also would concur. I moved back into this community based on, it was a small school. I love that about this community. I don't want to get businesses here. I want my kids to have the same experience that I did when I was a kid. I don't want another Oak Hills school district for my children.
And we're getting into the weeds, but maybe that's what you guys wanted. I should have thanked you the first time I made a comment. Thank you, all of you, because I know it's not easy sitting on that side of the table sometimes. $4 million sounds like a capital expenditure to me as opposed to operating costs. You mentioned 1.1 million. I would imagine there's enough smart people up there and enough planning, you can cover that operating expense. Like I said, there'd be 4 schools I could think that will line up real quick that want to use the pool. You better let the Yellow Jackets use it first. Right. I was a 4-year swimmer at Taylor myself, so I'd love to see the pool. So it sounds like there's a capital decision as opposed to an operating expense decision. Is there anything with any of our levies that are existing that were capital-driven levies, i.e. the one who built this facility, that there's a plan for that to roll off? I mean, again, I know I'm getting in a lot of details here, but if you guys look at that down the road, because levies are passed for specifics, whether it's operating or building or capital, what's the thought there? I mean, is that $4 million sounds like a huge number, but honestly, in the operation of the school district and in the long term, and looking at this building, it's not a lot of money. It is to us, but in the big picture, it's not. So what's the thought there? And the other question I had for the trustees, just a clarification. TIF dollars won't result in an increase in anybody's taxes here, right?
No.
And I know that, but I know a lot of people may not understand.
I'll explain TIF. We've done it in other meetings, and it's a short deal. Back in 1994, the state had a window where we could enter into a TIF program, tax increment financing. At that point, Anderson Township got a hold of this and did it and got this through the state. From Anderson, it went to Delhi. Delhi did it. It was a short period of time. Green did it. In the last 2 weeks of June of 2094, we found out, we got a hold of the paperwork, and we said, we're going to go for it, because we saw what the potential was. We filed it. It was probably about 3 years later when we finally got approval to it. And what it is it's a taxes on new homes that was built from 1995 on. We received the taxation of the improvement on those properties. And you see we've got a lot of new subdivisions since 1995. About 90% of those new homes, because we had identified the vacant properties, and we missed about 10%, but we're getting about 90%. We're getting over $2 million a year of that. That's how Shady Lane was built, how the park was built, whatever. Of that money, that is 100% of the improvement on those properties. We have to pay the school district within a 30-day period, 54% of that money, because they're hold harmless of the taxes that are due to the school, and the Great Oaks gets 3%. Is that right? 5%? So we pay back to 2 school districts their loss on that. We keep the balance of that, and that's how we've been able to do the various projects that we've done And that was a 2094, it was through 2024, it was a 30-year period. About 2 years ago, there was a window that the state went and said, if you file the paperwork, we're going to give you a 10-year extension, 15-year extension. So it goes to 2039 now. And we've got that through 2039 on what we're getting now. So that's where the TIF, it's not against your taxes. If you have built a new home since 1995, you can go on the auditor's website and look on there, on the auditor's website where it has a breakdown of your taxes. It'll identify if any of your tax money is going to TIF. And that's where, and I will tell you, there's probably about 10% of the properties that we missed because we had a time period that we had to give undeveloped properties back then. But that's an example of TIF.
I'm here representing the Seton High School and Elder High School swimming team. The program has really grown quite a bit, and for about 6 months out of the year, we rent full-time at the University of Cincinnati. A lot of the students of Elder and Seton live out this way, and there is a tremendous demand for pool space, and we are very interested in renting 8 to 10 lanes of this new facility 6 months out of the year. And I know that the Cincinnati Marlins program, we were involved in that program a little bit too. There was almost 100 swimmers in their satellite pool at Taylor High School that it's gone away. And there's not a lot of pools on the west side of Cincinnati for whatever reason. And I've been involved in competitive swimming all my life, and it's sad to see that the west side of Cincinnati, Oak Hills has a pool. It's fallen apart. It's 4 lanes. Taylor shut down. Mount St. Joe had a pool. They closed it down. You know, I'm not sure what's going on or why the west side of Cincinnati, can't figure this out. But I know that, almost 100 Marlins swimmers, they created a satellite program on the west side, and then they closed Taylor High School. So the coach for OYA, Oak Hills Youth Athletics, is here tonight, and that program is bursting at the gills with swimmers that they have to turn away, and they're swimming in a dilapidated pool that's, so there would be a tremendous demand for those folks to come over this way and use that facility as well. So I think that's important to understand, and I'm here to support the building of this pool.
And they're voters, they live out here.
Will they vote yes on the levy? That's what I want to know. Can we get an amen on the levy?
My name is Mike Kensler. I'm actually the president of the board of directors for the Cincinnati Marlins. My daughter started as a Cincinnati Marlin as a swimmer in the Taylor High School pool when she was 7 years old. She started taking lessons from Miss Andrea, who probably everybody that's taken swim lessons on the west side of Cincinnati is taking lessons from Miss Andrea, and she continues to do that to this day. Cincinnati Marlins would be a very interested partner in reestablishing that. As Rob said, at one point in time we had close to 100 swimmers on the west side, right in that facility down there at Taylor, in that small five-lane pool, and a lot of our best talent came from, and it has enriched lives, not just kids at Taylor, but kids at every school out here, and they were all, right here in this community. I live here in this community. I live up in Legendary Ridge. What I would strongly suggest is don't just think about where you're at today, but think about what's going to take place 4 years, 8 years, 12 years down the line. Think of what's going on out in the Mason area. I mean, Mason has an unbelievable community center out there that has enriched the lives out there. But they're in talks right now of building another massive facility right next to it because they've outgrown the size of that and as the community continues to grow. And I think what John had said is this community continues to grow and there's new houses that continues to build, there's gonna be a bigger need for those things. If you just build just the pool and all of a sudden you have 3 or 4 teams that are renting space, then you're gonna have this, like this guy that wants to get in the water and do a community swim, those things are gonna be, those opportunities are gonna be limited. So being able to offer the full range of the facility, it is gonna enrich lives and it's definitely gonna enrich the community.
Yeah, I think the community, I've been here for 17 years now, and when I first came, it was a very small school mentality, and that's wonderful. This community has grown so much, and it's, whether you want to keep it a small school or not, I don't think that ability, you've got too much community coming in, and it's not a bad thing, it's a great thing. And I also think the education aspect with children, the more they're involved in other activities, not just in that schoolwork, and I'm not knocking that they don't, the education. My kids have been here, my daughter graduated 8th in her class. The education's here, but I think when they're more involved in other things, they tend to discipline themselves a little bit more. They know when they need to study, they know when they need to get involved and do other things, and it's just a great thing for this community, and it can blossom like he says. There's the potential that is here is unbelievable, to be not just the good school, but everything else around it, and having all these kids involved, and having your athletes and having your scholar students. So I just think this is, like you said, an opportunity that is presented maybe once in a lifetime. And there might be some expenses that go with it, but overall, I think it will benefit the whole school.
That's great if we can get the whole community behind everything, but we don't. It's a divided community.
I think there's a lot of
Every time
community-
there's a levy, yeah, you have as many against it as you do for it, so it's just another uphill battle. I mean, I see, trust me, I think it would be amazing to have a competitive pool. I think it would be great to have more basketball space so that the kids don't have to practice, so that we don't have 9-year-olds practicing at 9 o'clock at night because they don't have space. I think that's wonderful, great, sign me up. But you can't do it without the support of the whole community, and we haven't had support of the whole community yet on a single levy. Look at how divided we are. So who's going to bring along that vote? Anybody want to stand up and do that?
Divided swim club.
We have divided everything in this community. And I said, I just see the battle. And I am looking forward, somebody said 4, 8, 12 years, I am looking forward to that. And we're going to have the same recurring battle time after time after time. We're going to, just because that's how it works. So, still trying to figure out how you guys are going to get that done.
With there being such a large interest, and we have these groups from these other communities that obviously have as much, if not more, tip money as us, is there any reason why Green Township, Delhi, Three Rivers can't come together and build a center and use joint tip money? Because we seem to have the land, we seem to have the space. Has anything like that been explored?
My understanding of the TIF money, and again, the township can, I guess, talk about this more, is if they have to, I'm sorry. My understanding of the TIF money is the township has to own the property. Is there a possibility of a joint ownership with other?
That's something that we have not talked to Green and Delhi, but I know Green and Delhi, Green and Delhi partnered in the Rapid Run Middle School property, and they have the firehouse there. I think it would probably be, I mean, we can talk to them, but I do not think they would come down here and spend their TIF money. They would spend it, right, Oak Hills right now is has a real pool problem themselves. And I'm sure that they would, but I mean, at least we can talk to them. I think they're gonna spend their money in their territory.
This young lady in the green shirt, I'm
So
sorry.
with the demand of everybody else, you guys talk about the members and the member fees. So that's why I asked about the utilization of the schools. So if Three Rivers utilizes it, then you have all the demand for all the other schools on the west side to utilize it. Where in that do you fit the members that also get the utilization of the pool and if the entire facility? So that's where, I mean, I know we. ran
No, there
into
is a,
problems
there is a
with-
balance that you have to
Right.
work out. No, we agree, and we're aware of that. Those are conversations I know that we've had internally, and a struggle that we have with, that too. You know, if you're selling so much time out to swim clubs, when do we get to use it?
Right.
And again, it's a very big concern, it's a concern for us, and
Like just during the day, okay, it's open during the day, so if you wanna use it during the day, you can come use it if you're. a member during
that
the
pool will
day.
be full of senior citizens all day. But is it, you know, but trying to get the rest of the community in will be an issue. I understand that, and again, it's a balance thing that we have to look at.
So I was a little late, so I apologize. So I know there's an $8 million plan and then there's a $12 million. Is that, so do we have to have a levy if we do the $8 million plan? Do we have to have a levy?
The township has committed $8 million,
Okay.
and it would depend on what the involvement and the agreement we could work out with the township for as far as running the facility, the school's involvement, and what else. And again, Mrs. Stafford made it very clear, and I don't think any of us have hidden this, you know, we haven't gone out for new operating money in over 14 years. Our treasurer's sitting right here, and she'll tell you, we're into deficit spending this year, which is fine because levies are meant to do that. You front load the money and then it carries you through the end of your levy. So that's not a secret, and it's not a, you know, and not a big, I don't want to say a big concern, but you know, it's nothing that we weren't anticipating. So any additional operating cost for the school district would have to be financed. And when I say finance, it's going to have to go on the back of the taxpayers if we're going to commit to do that. You know, I mean, as much as I'd like to have a printing machine, I'm not Washington, so I can't print money.
I will say, I've been part of two, one in Edina, Ohio. I don't have anyone familiar with that area, and then Mason. And it is, it's enormous for the community, so I would be all for it. Because, I know someone said, you know, can you bring more boats? Well, I mean, it's hard to say you can bring more boats, but you can support it and spread what's good about it. I think that would help.
This young man right here with the beard.
Well, this is a question from Midtown. With the $8 million plan, I don't know how far you've gone in the planning stages with that, versus the $12 million plan, would you see community involvement going down with the smaller facility? 'Cause clearly you wouldn't be able to offer everything in the $8 million building or complex that you would with the $12 million complex. So I was wondering how it would affect membership and possibly profitability in the long run.
Yeah, I mean, we have not done a pro forma on the small one. Just so you know, it would be very difficult to, because you wouldn't have enough facilities there to sell memberships and that type of thing, so it'd be difficult. And that's one of the things too, we have to realize, if you build the $8 million facility, there's still gonna be operating costs.
Right.
And how are you going to, you know, fund those operating costs? So, but I have to be honest, I haven't done the pro forma, but I do know it would be difficult to have membership revenues, you know, coming in. You have, of course, the pool rental, you know, fees coming in. But,
I had a question about that same topic. Is it within the realm of possibility that over the course of 20 or 30 years, it might actually be more expensive to operate the $8 million building than it would be for the $12 million building? And the only reason why I ask that is, if you're not selling memberships on an $8 million building, but you still have operational costs, you're going to continue to incur those operational costs without any income or very little income by comparison. Whereas the $12 million building could generate revenue, which would then pay for the operational costs going forward, and may even make up for the $4 million outlay in the front end.
I mean, that's what I've been thinking the whole time here. You know, for example, the Mercy facilities are 20 years old, okay? And they're still having, you know, one of the things, the due diligence that Paul and Jim put together is they said, show us the membership history of the health plexes.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because the health plex, the membership has really stayed the same. It's gone down, gone up a little bit, basically stayed around the same. So here you have 20-year-old facilities, and they're still bringing in that revenue year after year. You know, it's a good question, and that's what I'd be worried about with a smaller facility, is that are you going to be able to generate, whether we're involved or not, are you going to be able to generate enough money to pay for the operating fees? Because your operating fees won't go down a whole lot, you know, with that, but you won't have the revenues coming in.
At West Claremont now, how much use of that facility is by non-members as far as outside schools using the pool as far as for their use? Is there any revenue coming in from that?
You know, it's only been 1 year now, and there hasn't been a whole lot of rental. There's not I think the Marlins will tell you, on the east side, it isn't as tough to get pool space. For example, we have the Anderson Healthplex, and we have about 100 swimmers, and they do have to sometimes use Xavier's pool and use West Claremont's pool. But so far, our revenues that we have brought in don't really include, and I think down the road it will include a pool rental. They want to get the first year off the belt, going. So very little so far in terms of outside revenue from pools. So that's an opportunity, I think, that is greater on the west side than it is on the east side. Although I think in the future we'll be able to develop that. And as far as the lady asked the question about the balance, and you're exactly right, it is a balance. One thing that's really nice though is you have the way the days go, it's kind of nice because you have your early morning people are generally business people, before work type of crowd, and then your senior citizens generally use the pool or use the whole facility during the day. Then you have after school, like West Claremont's just flooded with kids. After school, instead of going home and being on their own devices, they're at the club participating. And then in the evening, you get more into the community use and you get more into people coming after work. It's kind of a natural flow, but it is a balance. You're right.
The training from the other schools that are having swim meets, and during that swim season, you're going to have, like they said, they're going to utilize it, Three Rivers will utilize it. So that basically takes up the after school or the evenings, and sometimes if they have early AM training, like baseball, we all drop our kids off at the weight room in the morning, if they're playing a sport. I do. So that kind of takes up. So therefore, the membership will obviously decline if the community members aren't able to use it because of the demand of the pool on the west side.
I think one thing too though, Leslie, is that we could always have an opportunity where we could have 2 clubs in there at one time. So it could be that maybe our Taylor swimmers don't need 8 lanes. And so they just have a couple of the lanes for practice, and then there's some overlap with some other swimmers. So that might cut down on some of the hours of the back-to-back if we can kind of get 2 smaller clubs in there at one time.
I think she just gave Coach Meyer a heart attack.
Yeah.
When Princeton High School opened up their new facility, the Cincinnati Marlins were involved out there as well. And there was always lanes that were kept open for open swimming for the community. Part of what we provided is having lifeguards available to there. We provided the opportunity for swim lessons. So there's always a way to work and keep lanes open for open swimming on that aspect of things. So you're going to work around it. The other thing is the high school swimming season basically is going to go from November to the end of February. So you're talking a 3-month period of time. A team like the Marlins is going to go all year long. So you're really talking about your Three Rivers, the Taylor, Three Rivers, whether Seton, Elder, Mercy, or any of them get involved in it. It's going to be a 3-month time frame.
The other thing to remember too is there are 2 pools. So obviously the Marlins or any of the other Elder or whatever who would rent the pool, would rent the lap pool, you would still have the space for water fitness, water walking, kids and that kind of stuff. That would not be impacted by the rental of the lap pool.
Exactly.
Turquoise and black.
I just wanted to say, I've heard a couple comments, and I have a swimmer currently at Taylor. She also swims for the Marlins, but one thing that we do every winter is drive to South Dearborn to put our daughter in the water to practice. And so whether for me it's an $8 million or $12 million facility, I want a pool. And I'm getting ready to have a 16-year-old here that's going to drive down 50 in the middle of winter to go swim, and that's dangerous. And everybody said that it's hard to get basketball space here. I can't get pool space at Three Rivers. I can't. There is no place. There's no place to swim. And so when Taylor was gone, that was very sad for us because as a community, we saw that. And I know Coach Meyer and Coach Ray takes us all and we drive way, way far away at night. We get done at 9:30 and there's no place to go. So you can say that basketball space is hard to come by, baseball space is hard to come by. Swimming pool space is very, very hard to come by. So just as a plea from the community of swimmers, I don't know what the difference between the $8 million and the $12 million space is. We need a pool. And we've got a lot of good swimmers at this school. They're well-balanced students. You know, I think it's time to pay attention to some other programs than football, baseball, and soccer, and look at the swim program. Just want to go on the record.
I just wanted to kind of piggyback on what you were saying about the pool time, and I've belonged to Mercy Healthplex for a number of years in Western Hills, and when the regular pool is being utilized, if the facility was the expanded version of it and you had a warm water pool available, I mean, it's a fantastic option. So, you know, it's just for people being able to use it in the community. If the kids are, special ed kids, arthritis, I mean, the programs that they offer are just outstanding.
Yeah, the two pools is very important to remember.
So what will the pool sizes be? When I was younger, I was a synchronized swimmer, and I remember sharing a pool at Gamble Nippert with the Marlins. And when we did that, we had times, I mean, I remember sometimes practices were at 5 o'clock in the morning before school. And I went to Oak Hills, and we had to do that. But my family also had to have a membership to the YMCA in order for me to be a part of the Cincinnati Sync Creators. I'm not sure if it was that way back then. I'm going back a long time ago. I mean, is that an option? If there's so much of a demand for this pool, because, I mean, think about it. How many great kids have come out of the Marlins? I know I swam with girls on the Cincinnati Segregators that went on to Ohio State. You know, it is. I think it's something that's needed. The education, I agree with Tracy, should have 100%. Education should come first. But what's the pool size? Do you go the Gusco, go to the top and put in a diving tank and absolutely utilize it to its full potential? Or do you just keep it at 2 pools? Does that make any sense at all?
Warm water pool is gonna be 30 by 40.
It's an 8-lane, an oversized 8-lane.
So that's with either size,
And then
8
the-
million or 12?
I'm sorry, but
8 million or 12 million, it's gonna be an 8-lane pool, that was the thought.
I don't think that changes.
Okay,
Just
okay.
the other options.
Everything else.
The aerobics and things like that would not be available with the $8 million complex. So it'll be a competition pool.
Would there be room for diving to conduct that, or are you just going to just a swimming pool?
What do they
Well,
do?
West Claremont has a diving pool. I mean, it's a 8-lane, very similar pool to yours, and then the deep end is deep so they can do diving. So you have that option.
I mean, if you're looking at it as a business standpoint, putting in the diving tank and being able to have meets for the Marlins and that's going to bring in a lot of revenue for this community. And there's a lot of parts of this community that need a lot of help. You know, is that something that can go towards the community if it's in the township, through the school? What?
As far as the revenue from those,
Yeah.
most of it would probably go to the operation, covering up the overhead expenses of the
Up
facility.
until
The
it's,
TIF money can only be used on capital improvements, it can't be used for operating. Any other questions? Yeah.
I just want to commend both boards. I mean, it's obvious you guys are taking this seriously and coming to the community for input, and that's important. And I think that you're putting skin in the game and, bringing this opportunity, whether it goes forward or not, to the community. So that's admirable for both boards that you're thinking outside the box and looking for the input from all of us.
I think that the one thing that I would ask from anyone who's going to give us feedback, if you want the larger building and you want us to take on more debt, what I would like to hear is, because my biggest concern right now as a board member having to vote for something like this, is I don't want to have a building going up in front of our school. People drive by that building and see this massive structure coming up, and then a month or two later, there's a ballot measure where we're asking them to give us money to pay our teachers. And I don't want to be in the situation where we're having to explain that building going up is mostly being funded with TIF funds, because the 14,000 people who are going to go to the polls and vote, most of them aren't in this room, most of them aren't hearing all of this, and most of them probably will not be paying attention. So how do we get that message out? How do we sell this to our greater community? And I think that's one of our biggest challenges. And so I think we need to hear, how do we do that? How do we have a building going up that's going to cost millions of dollars? It's going to be very obvious that we're spending a lot of money on this project. And at the same time, ask people to give us more money to do the basic things that we have to do. And that's, we have to pay teachers first. I mean, the pool is trivial compared to paying our teachers. So we really have to have a good plan for selling this idea to our community to do this. And I think that's the challenge that I think we've talked about as a school board, is we can't have a building going up and not having a good story for why we need support for a levy and why those two things are not the same. Because I think it's going to be very hard to explain to people that there's this building going up, but we need more money.
To your point, if you guys considered jointly forming a community committee to help you address that issue, I know in the past I've helped on a couple levies, by the skin of its teeth, the levy to build this building, even though we got 50% of the money from the state. It was close, I mean, I was out of town and I got the phone call at midnight telling me it passed, because I was happy I didn't have to move. So, if you guys thought about forming a committee, I'll do it. I'll chair it if you want me to. But, I think getting that message that you just said, Mr. McDonald, getting that message out is important. Because there's a difference between capital funds that are appropriated, whether you have them now or you have to get those funds, and operating levies. And most people don't know that. But if we try to get that out, and I will say, something that draws the community in might get your folks that tend to shoot the levies down because either they don't have kids that go to school or they don't have kids that go to school here, or whatever the reason is, that it could draw. I do feel, I see the concern about $100 a month membership. That makes me kind of scratch my head a little bit. But, if it's going to have a chance, you're going to have more than just you folks sitting up there doing it. So I'll volunteer to be on that committee.
Derek, did you say you would chair a committee to? Good. Before you just leave tonight, let Darren know that you would like to serve on this committee.
The only person that's got a problem with that is her. But
We'll put her on the committee too. But if you'll chair it,
I would be happy to do that.
if you have some interest in serving on that committee, that would be great.